All right, welcome back to the Max Effort Kitchen after multiple technical difficulties. We're not frozen. That's good.
No, we're not.
We're not. Everything's coming through really clear right now. For those of you listening to this or watching it live, I am not streaming on Instagram. Maybe that was the issue. I don't know. I'm just guessing. It could be a multitude of things. Anyways, Cornell, how you doing, dude? How was your weekend? How's everything going?
It was good. I didn't get sick, but I got something.
Okay.
I'd like to think that I am stronger than the sickness.
Yeah.
So, I think I went to bed and I felt something in my throat, like I want to say Tuesday or Wednesday. Mm-hmm. Then I had allergies for basically the rest of the week. And then this weekend, though, it's been good, but like I'm not a napper. Right. And like yesterday, it was like I need to take a nap for like 30 minutes.
Crazy.
And then same with today. It was just like I did do a lot of yard work today.
Yeah.
We've got a half acre, and it's that time of year where the lower part of the backyard, because we have an upper part that we maintain and then a lower part that is just kind of like the wilderness, but that's where it's got like the foxtails and all that crap that's really bad for dogs.
Yep.
So they're starting to dry out, and I don't want to pay another $1,500 to get one of those taken out of a dog's face.
Wow, yes, that's intense. Man. So wait, it cost that much money to pull that thing out?
So they had to open her up and see if what was going. They didn't know if it was still in there or not, because what happened is it was Dizzy, the little one.
Okay.
So she's got like this shaggy hair, and she just one day came up and had like a totally bloody face, and she was acting pretty weird for like a week. And they didn't know if it had gotten infected and popped and came out, or so they're like, we can stitch her up for like $700, or we can do everything else for $1,200. And then it was like $300 and antibiotics and all that fun stuff. So we had them check and try to make sure that it wasn't there, because if it was still in there, bad stuff could happen. So
wow, man, that's crazy. That is nuts. Yeah. I couldn't imagine having one of those things in my face. So yeah, I get that'd be crazy. So let's talk about some food. Cool. I don't have much to talk about with me, but my wife found out by accident of doing something that was really, really, really interesting. And I'm trying to wrap my head around it. And I think I got an idea of why it worked, but she's been making these homemade chicken nuggets. Nice. And we're not like grinding the chicken up and making it into like a liquid and then like reforming it or by any means. I think that's gross. Basically, what she's doing is she's chunking the chicken up into nugget-like size. But she's been doing this for a couple weeks now. Like she'll do it once a week, and she'll serve it over rice. We hit it with a bunch of hot honey and like some broccoli or something, and it's pretty filling dinner, right? But what she's doing to bread it is she does what the dreading process, which is it's usually like a flour, an egg, and then some sort of breadcrumb. So we use panko breadcrumbs. I think they're the best. They get the crunchiest feeling. Also cornflakes. You can mix cornflakes in with it. That also works really well. By accident, instead of grabbing the flour container, she grabbed the pancake mix container. Okay. Because I take pancake mix, I put them in containers or whatever, and I just didn't think to label it or tell her apparently. But she dredged it in pancake batter, like dry, put it in the eggs, and then in the panko, the breadcrumbs and everything, and then like hot oven 425, and dude, it's the crispiest I've ever tasted something.
Really?
And I'm looking at her, and I'm like, what are you doing to get this? It's like when you go to like a sushi restaurant or an Asian cuisine restaurant or something like that style, and you get those like coconut shrimp. Mm-hmm. It's like that.
Wow.
And I'm just like, I'm blown away. And so she's like, I don't know, I'm just following the recipe. And so the next day I watch her and I'm like, okay. And then one morning I picked the thing up and I was like, honey, you shouldn't open the pancake box. This is pancake mix. And she looks at me and she goes, oh. I'm like, what? You're like, I'm dreading judging the chicken in that. Well, it works. So
Cool.
you should try it. I mean, air fryer. She does it with the air fryer too.
Yeah.
Anything, vegetables, chicken, shrimp, whatever you want.
What is dredging?
Okay, so it's a 3-part series. So you have one bowl where you have like usually a dry flour.
Okay.
You season it with whatever you want. Like usually we'll put a bunch of paprika or it's like smoked paprika, salt, pepper, and you season it up. And you take the protein or the vegetable or whatever, and you toss it in that. Like kind of like a shake and bake, right? And then you take it out of that and you put it in a wet ingredient, which generally is just eggs that are whipped up.
Okay.
And then you take it and you take the protein out of that and you put it in breadcrumbs, and you make sure the breadcrumbs are like smashed into it, and then you can fry it in the deep fryer, or you can bake it off at a really high heat. And what that does is it creates a breading, and it's just that's the dredging process.
I've tried to do crispy chicken, and I didn't know that there's a 3-step process. So it'll probably turn out better next time.
Yes, give it a shot. And for anybody listening to this, try the pancake batter. Do not put any water or anything in the pancake batter. I'm just do it dry, toss it in, egg yolk, and then breadcrumb. I'm telling you, man, I'm blown away. And now it's turned out to be like one of my favorite dinners throughout the week. So I don't know.
Nice.
Yeah,
so
just a little hack.
I don't know if we talked about it on this show, but I know we've talked about it on Marco Polo. The marinating the chicken in the pickle juice.
Yes, it's a great thing to do.
So
oh boy,
I watched a Instagram thing, and they said if you want your chicken to taste like Chick-fil-A, this is what they do.
Yep.
So I was like, nah, no way. So I finished up a jar of pickles and poured some pickle juice in a not a bunt pan, but like a loaf pan.
Yeah.
Something that was wide, but the pickle juice. I wanted the pickle juice to go further.
I like it.
And it had that same kind of zing flavor as Chick-fil-A. So.
Nice. I like that it flavored it because, a very old school traditional recipe is to marinate chicken in buttermilk, and all buttermilk is vinegar and milk. You combine the two and you just let it sit above your fridge or whatever for a day, and it turns into buttermilk. But it's the acid within the buttermilk that will actually break down the proteins and tenderize it. And so pickle juice is like, it's phenomenal because it's flavoring it and it's breaking down, like it's making it a little like probably tastes like really like fried chicken.
Yeah, it changes the color of it. That goes from that like pink to a white.
Yep.
And yeah, we pretty much do it whenever we finish off a thing of pickles. So,
and that's you've had ceviche, right?
Mm-hmm.
So all ceviche is fish that's sitting in a vinegar solution.
Okay.
And it technically, in the technical sense, it cooks. It actually starts the cooking process, and that's really neat. And so I love that you're doing that. I want to try it now because I didn't think about the flavor aspect of it.
Yeah, that was the biggest part because we did bread it, but I didn't know it was a 3-step process. I just thought that you like put it in egg and then put the bread on it, and then in the air fryer, the problem I was having is when I'd go to flip it, a lot of the breadcrumbs would stick to the whatever it was on.
Yeah.
So,
and that's what that first dry flour will help the egg stick, which the egg helps the breadcrumbs stick, and then you stop that peeling off of what the crumb skin or whatever. It stops that from happening.
Nice.
Yeah. All right. Well,
cool.
I just ate dinner and I probably could eat another one after that. So Cornell, let me ask you a question. I've had a question on the top of my head over the past 2 weeks, and this is mainly, I don't know if I want, I'm just going to ask you, in your opinion, what does a competitive weightlifter need? Like, what are the top 3 things that a competitive weightlifter needs to do consistently? or have in their training consistently?
Oh, that's a good one. So I haven't heard this yet. It's for people who are wondering. We talked about talking about it, but then decided not to.
Always makes it better, right?
I would say the number one thing that for a competitive weightlifter or just someone who wants to get like the reason I'm saying someone who just wants to get better is it doesn't have to be a competition.
Yeah.
But you have to have something on the books. You have to have a goal. You have to have a test date, like a finish date.
Yeah. I agree.
Like something that you need to be good at or good when there's that time. There was it's almost been 2 years, which is crazy. Almost 2 years ago at the Kilo Chaser camp. That was one of the things that I'm like, I want to lift well here. So I knew that it was going to be multiple sessions a day. And so I made sure that like I was in that kind of condition.
Yep.
There's been other weightlifting camps that I've gone to. There's been seminars at Freedom Weightlifting in Florida where it's like, I want to be good there.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that having something on the books, and it doesn't have to be a competition, but having a trip planned where you're going to go lift with friends, like stuff like that, where you don't want to just go in there and be like, yeah, I've got 4 sets of doubles at 70% and then 5x5 back squat. Like you want to have something on the books.
Yeah. Like something like an event, like something to work towards. Right. Yeah. I like that.
Then the other thing that I like is I don't want it to be too close because then you're kind of going into like rushing cramming mode.
Yeah.
But it's almost better to be a little bit, I would say 12 weeks out is perfect.
Yeah.
Because what that'll do is it'll give you 2 to 4 weeks to kind of, okay, I got to get the body fixed if something's not feeling right. It gives you some time to kind of prepare for the training.
Right. And I like that.
The first 2 weeks of the last 8 weeks, if it was a competition, would be much more of the like volume phase where you're just going to be doing a lot of reps. And then the intensity is going to go up as you get closer to the date.
Yeah.
So I've told people before, cause I think I'm 4 weeks out right now from my next meet.
Yep.
That really snuck up on me, but I talked to my coach and I was like, I haven't been like, I'm not someone who gets out there and just like brags to the world about the injuries going on or like pulled muscles or any of that kind of stuff. But I hit my first clean and jerk in almost a month, like 4.5, 5 weeks on Wednesday.
Wow.
Like I hadn't cleaned anything over like 70 kilos.
Holy
And I think I did that once.
Okay. So, how'd it feel?
I was a little, let's just say I snatched 110. I clean and jerked 120.
Okay.
I back squatted 2 sets of 3 at 85 kilos. And I said, I have to stop. And it was something to do with that. The squatting just made my back feel something that I didn't want to feel. So I got off that, went back over to the reverse hyper. I'd been doing 60 to 75 swings a day with that, plus like at least an hour to 2 hours of mobility a day.
Yeah.
So I just quickly went back over there and I was like, okay. And the next day I woke up and I was feeling fine. So I'm like, all right, I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
But I told my coach, I'm like, I only need 4 weeks. I can be in good shape in 4 weeks. I can be in great shape in 5 weeks, and I can be in decent shape in 3.
So basically, like, if you're working up towards something, it's like that 12 weeks is the point in which we take the muscle memory that we already have from all the years and we refine it, we get stronger, and we get ready and we prep for this event. You're saying about 12 weeks is pretty standard, right?
Yeah, 12 weeks is what I would say the majority of coaches will kind of like plan. They like to plan stuff out about 12 weeks out. Nice. Also, that gives you 4 of those a year.
Yeah.
So it's kind of just works well for scheduling.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But it's that first 4 weeks is really just going to be like getting back to training.
Yeah.
Because after a competition, we all just kind of just go and have some fun. Don't worry about stuff. Do whatever we want to do.
Yep.
Don't even really look at the program. But then for the first 4 weeks out of the 12, then you start like, all right, let's go back to not quite training wheels, but let's go back to just training.
Yeah.
And then it's going to be, let's start to take it serious. And then at the end, it's let's push.
So, and I like that you said, take it serious, because that just sparked a question. I struggle with this, and I'm sure there's other people out there that do struggle with this as well. But like leading up to a meet, like we can all decipher the difference between a very important meet and a not very important meet. Mm-hmm. You know, some might differentiate them between local meets and national style meets.
Sure.
But for myself, I have a hard time, you know, separating the two. I'm always like, yeah, it's just a local competition. I'm just going to like, you know, do whatever leading up to it. Then I get about 4 weeks out and I go down this deep dive of like, I need to buckle down. I need to start hitting everything. I need to make sure that, you know, everything is feeling what it needs to be feeling. And I'm hitting all the training sessions I need to be hitting. And this happened, you know, in the past competition that I just did, but about 4 weeks out, I became very, I secluded myself. Mm-hmm. I told my training partner, I was like, no, we're not training till afterwards. Which that's a whole nother podcast right there. Obviously my family knew where my headspace was because they see me every day and they're like, what the hell's wrong with you? But in your opinion, do you think that there are meets that we don't need to take seriously and just like go out there and have fun? And in fact, is it just a local meet?
I would say that there is, but the best way to do something like that is if something pops up in the next 10 to 12 or 10 to 14 days, you're like, oh, there's a meet an hour away. I'm going to sign up for it. So those are the best for just having fun, going in there, working on competing, working on the competition side of not the lifting side of the competition, but the competition side, the warm-ups, the back room, the timing, the being on the clock, all those kinds of things.
Yeah.
I would say anything that's not real, like that it's just a game. Like if you have friends that are getting together to like do a fake competition.
Yeah.
That would be something that I would never peak for, never train for. I did a competition with one of my friends in Texas. His name is Davis. He created this online, it was basically like the game of horse.
Okay.
And I don't really, I wish I remembered all the details, but it was all based on your percentages. So if someone went out and hit, there was, I want to say there was like 12 or 15 different lifts you could pick from. There was the power clean, the power snatch, the snatch, the hang snatch, the pause snatch, like the pause lifts, all that kind of stuff. So everyone had to go around, and it was kind of like the game of horse where they did it and then you would do it and then you would try to beat them based on your percentage. It was just like a real fun, like totally just a fun Saturday afternoon.
Nice. That sounds fun.
So we knew about that for a couple of weeks. It's like we have to be good at everything. So you kind of don't worry about trying to get good at anything.
Right. Yeah, no, that makes sense. I don't know. I think that, and this kind of ties into my first question versus my second, but like the idea of taking something too seriously, does that stunt your performance? And I don't know, because I take things seriously all the time. Too seriously all the time. That's
so
what I meant.
I would say I've talked a little bit about why I don't compete as often as I used to.
Yeah.
And some of the reasons are just the toll it takes like on my family and on my family relationships.
Yeah.
And certain meats do really like sacrifice a lot of that family time and the relationships and all that kind of stuff. And I don't like doing that anymore. I mean, I've done it long enough, and at the end of the day, I can see all my medals right there.
Yeah.
They don't really mean anything. They're just pieces of metal on the wall. Like, yeah, I like having them. I like seeing them.
Yep.
It feels good when you get another one.
Yep.
But when it's over, like, nobody knows what I hit at the Double Barrel Open in 2018. Nobody cares. And it's not like it's going to go on a job resume or something like that. Or it's like, whatever. So
I like that you said that. So like, so I'm going to kind of like go down this road. When I was in high school, I ran track, right? And I ran track in order to stay, in shape for football. And I was a guy that had a Letterman jacket, and all of us on our track team, we would, you'd win medals. And you walk around the school, and it's like ding, 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 like kind of shaking on a Letterman's jacket, and you're getting like showing off all the medals you won. Fast forward, 20, 30 years later, I still have that Letterman's jacket. I still have all those medals. And I'm always like, hey guys, want to see my medals to my kids? And they're like, no.
Sure.
And so I'm like, and so it really relates to what you're saying, which is, it might mean something to the person who accomplished and got the medal, but like fast forward 2 days, who cares?
Yeah. I kind of looked at all the medals that I've got hanging, and it's like, when I die, these are just going to get thrown away.
Yeah, exactly.
It's legitimately like, whatever. Like, I think I have two that might get kept around for a little while. I have a Best Lifter Award, and I have the Masters Worlds.
Yeah. And
I was like, those are like the most important two, like, to me.
Right.
Unfortunately, they weren't at the same meet, but
yeah, I mean, there is some importance to them, but I understand, because the big picture item here is that, like, you go out, in some people's eyes, it's like, oh, I got hardware around my neck. Well, I'm not really. I paid for that. Yeah. I look at that as like when you used to sign up for CrossFit, competitions, you get a free shirt.
Yeah.
And the amount of medals they give out these days, it's like, here's your free shirt.
Yeah. So, all right. So the first one was putting something on the calendar.
Yeah.
Well, can you repeat the question one more time?
Yes. I like that we go off on these tangents. Okay. In your opinion, to be a competitive lifter, what are the top three things that you need to have, and obviously not training, right? Sure. So top three things that a competitive weightlifter needs to either have or do to be successful, or to go out and actually compete and perform.
So for number two, I would say it's much more, it's probably for seniors as well, but it's definitely much more for masters, because the majority of my weightlifting career, I've been a master. Yeah. So I can't really speak too much on the first couple of years.
Yeah.
But I would say, like, getting body work done and doing your mobility. I think that's a good one. You can try to mobilize as much as you can, and you can get pretty good with that. But if you don't get that massage when you need it, you can't get a lot of those issues out. If you don't get scraped or cupped when you need it, like, there's only so much you can really do on your own. So I would say that that's probably number two, and that would be in that first 4 weeks of the 12-week cycle.
Yeah, I really like that one. That's something that personally, and I've talked to a couple of people like this as well, that they're like, yeah, in my brain, I'm 25. My body's not 25 anymore. Like, you need to do that stuff.
Yeah, I used to listen to a podcast where it was a younger guy at the time when he was doing this, and he was just always bragging about how he never stretches, he never does any mobility. Like that's all just for people who don't know what they're doing. And then the older that the guy got, he's like, you got to do yoga. You got to get these massages. You got to do the stretching. All of a sudden now it's like, you have to do all this warm up. You have to listen to your body. Before it was like, screw what your body feels like. You just need to push through and do it. And it's like, I want to say I'm like 5 or 6 years older than this guy. And I was always, when I would listen to him, I was like, I don't feel that way. Like I'm older than you. I'm in a different phase in life. I actually have a real job doing construction. I'm not just sitting around and like playing weightlifting.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is like, and you put it correctly, which is, you know, I do think senior lifters should, that's my own personal opinion, but I think masters, it's important. It's a must.
Yeah.
You get over the age of 40 and your body is just starting the slow process of deterioration. And it's like, kind of, that's why they used to call it over the hill or over the hump or whatever, is because you start, you know, going down that road and we lose a lot of stuff. Yeah. And our bodies don't work the same anymore. And in order for longevity to happen, I think that it's so important to work on that stuff. Now, let me ask you this, and this won't be too much of a tangent, but like I think about this a lot. Do you think there's a certain, like what age, do you ever think about the age in which your lifting is going to start, or the weight is going to start decreasing?
Yeah, I have seen that happen already.
Okay.
The weights that I'm lifting the heavy days are further and further apart now.
Yeah.
I would say that the average tonnage that I lift per week is much less now than it was probably like 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm lifting heavier lifts, but the in-between sessions, it's like, I don't really even I look at the program, but I glance at the percentages, but then I just look at, okay, I know which percentage range to be in.
Right.
But I'm not going to lock myself into, I need to hit like 132 kilos in the snatch today. It's like, okay, it's a medium day. 120 is fine.
Yeah.
Like if I can make 120 for 7 or 8 lifts or 4 or 5 doubles and they're perfect, I'd much rather do those perfectly than walk some out, have to save some at like 132. Plus, I'm going to be able to recover so much faster and better from a lighter weight than a heavier weight.
Yeah, I like that. And I dealt with this last week where first week back, I took a full week off after the competition. First week back, Monday, pretty seamless. Tuesday, I must have had a little more caffeine than I probably should have. And I was like, I'm going off program. And next thing you know, I'm trying to hang clean 130, which, you know, I've done before, but I missed twice and I called it after that. Mm-hmm. But the next couple days,
you felt it.
Oh boy, my body I couldn't, like, positions were harder to hit. My body, I felt like every time I got like anywhere below parallel, my knees were going to explode. Like, it was just like, oh, this is it right here. And so, you know, I just went into mobilization mode where I just dropped the weights for Friday and, you know, moved weight in a good position. I did good technique and I didn't get too butthurt about it. So I don't know. I think that this idea that we are going to start dropping in weight, which, man, it sucks. I don't think I'm quite there yet. I don't want to think I'm quite there yet, but maybe I am. Who knows? It's weird. It's like, it's not doom, but it's like, man, what is that going to look like?
Sure. No, there's different phrases I've heard, like every lift you take is one lift closer to your last lift.
Oh,
and it's
like that.
If you hear that and you're like, oh crap, like, I think it was Don Ritchie who said it. Who's like, every lift you're taking, you're one closer to your last lift. And I think he was quoting somebody else.
Yeah.
But it's like, so make sure these lifts are meaningful and that you're doing them right. And you're not just taking them for granted and you're actually doing them with intent. Because if you're just willy-nilly about it, you could get hurt. Like, compared to if you're actually taking it. And when I say taking it serious, I just mean like you're not screwing around. You're not making stupid jumps. You're not going and making 18 misses trying to make one lift. Like there was a drop-in guy at the gym the other day and he tried like 93 kilos in the snatch. I want to say for like 45 minutes.
Damn.
And then he made it. And I just leaned over to my training partner. I'm like, how many of those misses do you think he's going to post? He's just going to post the make.
0. 0 of them.
So,
yeah, dude. I mean, it's just one of those things. It's kind of, I don't even get that depressed talking about it because I know I'm going to be lifting for a long time. So I'm not even that worried about it. I just, it does creep into the head a little bit like, man, I wonder when that's going to happen and what that's going to look like. But
sure.
I like that. I like the thought of, one, every lift you take is one less you're going to get or whatever, however that was said. But
yeah, but also if you skip a training day, it's not like you're going to get those lifts back anyway.
I know, you're sure not.
So I also listened to, this kind of goes along with that same thing. It was funny. I randomly turned a podcast on that I had no intent to listen to. It just came on next. And then I was just like stuck and I couldn't get away. And it was RX Radio Prescript guys. And they were talking about training through being a parent of like little kids. And I was like, I'm not going to listen to this one. And it was so good.
Weird how that worked, right?
Because they talked about that for 5 or 10 minutes, but then they just talked about so much other stuff where it was just stress in life. Mm-hmm. And these guys are not necessarily teaching weightlifting. They're just overall trainers. And then it wasn't the normal hosts either. And so they have personal training clients who come in 3 times a week or whatever. And they said, this is going to be a short time where you're going to spend time with your kids in their life. They don't care that you're extra fit. They care more that they get to see you 2 or 3 extra afternoons a week instead of like, if they can see you 5 afternoons a week instead of 2, they're going to be much happier. It'll be a much better home life situation. And they were talking about this guy came in and he was just overly exhausted, like just had the second kid. They said the term, it was an 11 out of 10 diaper blowout night. So he said he got to the gym and he said, okay, I'm here to lift. And the guy just looked at him and he says, you're going to go in my office. You're going to sleep for 45 minutes because you can't get that anywhere else.
Oh, nice.
And he's like, that 45 minutes of sleep did more for him than any amount of work that I did, like that would have helped for his life.
Yeah, I bet it did. That's crazy.
Like, I was like, there's so much of that kind of stuff where like, even now leading into like, I see it much more now than I did before, but there's days where like, I'll grab the bar and it feels heavy. Mm-hmm. And I'll put on 50 kilos and I'm like, it's a 50 kilo day.
Yeah.
Like I know that the program, it's the worst when it's on like Social Friday or something and everyone's there. And I'm like, I'm just over here with doing nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then I know that when those days happen, I'm normally about a week away from something big.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're really good about reminding me of that as well. Like when I'm like, God damn, I don't know what happened, but you're like, hey, that just means something big is around the corner.
Yeah.
And you're right. I mean, your body does have tendencies. So yeah, I like that. All right. So what's your number 3 on this?
Number 3. And I don't think these are in any specific order. Of importance.
Right.
I think that they're all important.
Yep.
But I would say having people to hold you accountable.
Yes.
Whether it's a training partner or just training, if you're in a gym with a lot of people there, like if you don't show up, you want people to be like, hey, where have you been? I haven't seen you.
Yeah.
Like I get that a lot. And I'm like, yeah, I got off work early and I had some family stuff. So I came in at 1. And then I was gone by 3 and everyone else is kind of showing up 3:45, 4:15.
Yeah. Yep.
So if you have people that are holding you accountable, that are expecting you to be there, if you don't show up, I'm on a group chat with my friend Tyler and Antoinette, and he's out of town right now, out of the state, family stuff, but we always text each other and we're like, I'll be there at 2. I'll be there at 2:45. I'll be there like
nice.
On my way.
Yeah. You know, I really like that. I've experienced that, and I've experienced both where I'm like, I need somebody to hold me accountable. And it's not just like, you know, it's a little different here because I got a gym here in my house. So it's like, not like, it's like if I don't show up to my gym at my house, nobody's going to have a clue. So,
yeah.
And so like I've been a part of like where it was, hey, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you know, we're meeting at somebody's garage and it is expected to happen. Like, and if you bail, you know, the other 2 are probably going to talk shit or, you know, or I'll just like give you hell for it. Right.
Yeah.
And I've had iterations of that, but I've also had iterations of none of that. And you know me, dude, I'm so much of an overthinker. So I'm like thinking in my head, like, hey, you know, is accountability is very, very, it's at a high value.
Yeah.
Yes. But I'd have to tell myself that I cannot rely on other people to get my ass out here.
Sure.
Now, I don't know if that's the same thing as accountability though. So
I'm trying to put the words together for that situation because I have had that situation where for a couple of years, I was in the garage. And I remember there was a time where someone was supposed to come in from out of state.
Yeah.
And it was like, all right, cool, they're coming. And other people who were regulars at the garage were not available. And then someone else overslept. And all of a sudden the person from out of state wasn't going to, or we weren't supposed to start till 12 and we were started at like 9:30. And all of a sudden it's like 11:15 and everyone cancels. And I'm just literally sitting in my garage with nobody.
Yeah.
And I just said, okay, well, I'm going to go to SoCal right now. Yeah. So I literally I told my wife, I'm like, hey, I'm going to be gone for a couple hours. She's like, okay, everything okay? I'm like, yeah, it's fine. And then I just got in the car and drove.
Right.
And I had a great session up there.
Yeah.
So what I've always kind of told myself is if I'm going to lift with somebody, I want to show them like, I want to do good so that they're like, dang, I'm trying to catch up with them.
Yeah.
And then if someone doesn't show up or they're not consistent, I'm like, all right, I'll show you what being consistent can do.
Yeah.
So you can't complain about like,
oh, I love that.
You like that. I think that was one of the big make or break things that happened during COVID is I never stopped.
Yeah.
And my total went up a ton from 2020 to now.
Yeah.
And it just turned into one of those things where I'm like, I'm not going to stop and I'm going to show people who are quitting right now, like what's going to happen in 4 or 5 years. And then they're going to see lifts that I'm doing and just be like, oh, I could have been there.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, man, that's a really good way of putting it because, and I don't think that I've actually like put that together in my head, but I definitely have had the thought of like, okay, well, I'm going to do it every day. I'm going to get out there every day and I'm going to bust my ass and I'm going to, I'm going to make gains. and people are going to see that. And my hope is that people are going to want to train like with me. But and you know, it's not just a me thing. I'm talking about just, you know, anybody out there that's a garage lifter probably struggles with this. You know, because like tomorrow, you know, Damon usually comes over on Mondays. He's going to be out of town. I'm probably going to go to Rose City, you know, because I want, you know, and I like that social aspect of it.
Yeah.
I
I think the other thing you can do if you're trying to hold yourself accountable is get yourself onto like an Instagram posting schedule.
That's
where you're like,
yeah.
And in your like comment or whatever, whatever you, it's been a long weekend. The part where you put the words, description, say like Monday's training, Wednesday's training, Friday's training, Saturday's training, and always be like, this is what I did for Monday. This is what I did for Wednesday. If you missed Wednesday, be like, yeah, I was bummed I missed Wednesday because I had to do this, but here's Friday.
Yeah. And
try to get on a consistent thing where people like, who knows? Probably no one's going to say anything. Nobody cares.
I know. No one cares.
Throw your medals away when you die.
That was the line of the show, man. They're just going to get thrown away when you die.
But having a schedule that you're trying to keep for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I really like that. I think those were some really well thought out answers, even though I put you on the spot. And they were just some really genuine answers. I mean, you know, keep something on the books, mobility, holding people, you know, have something to hold you accountable, whether it's people, whether it's IG, whether it's, you know, some sort of, I don't know, some friends across the country or whatever. But those are some really good things. And I think anybody listening to this you all should take that in pretty good value right there, because, you know, everybody can talk about the things that you have to do. You have to train, you have to, you know, all the different types of training, the sleep, the recovery, blah, blah, blah. But these are the things that we don't, you know, people don't necessarily always talk about. And it helps 100% with, you know, being a competitive or just somebody who wants to make gains. You know, you don't have to compete. You can have friends and go lift with them and make gains and, you know, make everybody else feel bad.
I would also say that the number 3 is just kind of a good one to have in general if you can have somebody that you lift with all the time. But I would also take it in kind of like 12-week seasons. Like
I like that.
Like for that cycle. And then maybe it's not, maybe you finish that and you're not like, oh, I'm going to get something else on the books. Like, hey, I want 4, 6, 8 weeks to fart around, do whatever I want to do. Not take it serious, just come in and just move.
Yep.
And then life kind of, when you're getting, then I think it's going to be more fun also for doing the bigger stuff.
Yeah. That's kind of, you know, I'm kind of in that mode right now where I'm just like, I don't really care what I do. I'm just going to get out here, even though I'm sure my coach does not want to hear me say that, but whatever. I told her I went off program and she mocked me pretty good. So, cool, man. That was a really good conversation. I really enjoyed that. I thought that it was well put by you and it sparked some really good things. So,
and now I know how to fry chicken better.
And now you know how to fry chicken better. All right, everybody. Thank you for listening. As always, you know, I post all the new shows on Instagram and you can always check it out on YouTube. And I think that's all I got. Cornell, you got anything else?
No.
All right. Adios. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.